Hello and welcome to She's the Light. My name is Charlie and I decided to create She's the Light to spread the heartfelt messages of soul transcending and the law of attraction. Every Monday I am here to empower you with all things spirituality, self-development and the law of attraction. My intention is to provide a safe and beautiful community for like-minded souls on their journey to blissful fulfillment, to encourage and accelerate healing, to share my heartfelt wisdom and knowledge and give you the answers you seek, to identify the power within your pain, to encourage the beauty of vulnerability, honesty and accountability, to transform, inspire and accelerate. On this podcast, I will be speaking my truth. So let the adventure begin. Hello, my loves, and welcome to the debut episode of She's the Light. I'm so excited to be sitting here recording this, opening this discussion of mental health and spirituality. I just knew that my first episode had to be something very raw and honest, something close to my heart, and mental health has always been that kind of topic for me. But before we do get into that, I do just want to take a moment to pay my respects to the Black community and the family of George Floyd. It's so hard. It is so hard to talk about. Whilst I'll never understand, I do stand with this community. I think this is something that needs to stop. And it's also something we all should be talking about. We all should be educating ourselves on this stuff. I know it's painful and I know it's a touchy subject, but this is happening. This is happening in our reality, whether we like that or not, which of course we don't. If you do want to donate towards this community and this fund, then please do, or you can do a lot of other things. There's abundance of things you can do to be the change and to pay your respects. So I'm going to leave some helpful links in the description box of this podcast. If I do end up making any money off this podcast, which I'm not sure about because this is my first podcast and I haven't really looked into the financial side of it, if I do, I will be donating money to a fund within this topic. Now, let's talk about mental health. I don't think there's enough awareness on mental health. Yes, it has improved over the years since I was younger, but I do remember that when I was a teenager and I needed this the most, there was a lack of awareness, a lack of people to talk to. I just felt like I was in the dark. And that led me to educate myself on mental health. I became fascinated with it. I researched different mental health disorders, and this was for my personal knowledge. But I also studied it academically at quite, not a university level, it was more of a level 2 kind of distance learning level, but I did learn a lot about young people and mental health, and also mental health awareness in adults, which is mega interesting. So looking at the statistics for the UK, which is where I'm from, in January this year there were 352,081 new referrals to the mental health services. And it's also said that approximately 1 in 4 people in the UK will experience a mental health problem. And in my personal opinion, I think this is too much. As a teenager, I mostly suffered in silence, which is why I'm so compassionate, which is why I'm making this podcast, guys. I just want to be a catalyst for your own healing, and I want to be someone that raises awareness for these important things and creates change where possible. I think everyone deserves a support system and the relevant help, but sometimes it just isn't there. On my YouTube channel, Blissful Joy, I have shared my spiritual awakening story. It is a dark night of the soul story, and over there I do like to share my truth, and I get pretty vulnerable, I get pretty raw and honest, which is my plan for this podcast. Actually, I do want to share those kind of things on my podcast as well. So my spiritual awakening started back in 2018. Let me just kind of paint a picture for you guys of a young woman who was in desperate need of some loving guidance, who lost her way in all the traumas and terrors and chaos of life. I was fearful of everything in the world. You name it, I feared it. I was in a very rocky on and off, unfulfilling, toxic relationship at the time. We were one of those couples that were on and off in the space of 4 months. There was 3 breakups, all initiated by him, and I still question why I went back all those times, but also I don't regret it. I actually thank God that I had gone back, because it led to this beautiful healing journey. I wouldn't be sat here today making this podcast and creating all the things that I create and talking about all the things I talk about and being fascinated by the things I'm fascinated about if none of this had happened to me. I learned so much from this relationship, such as how to prioritize myself, what I don't want in a romantic partner, and I learned that love isn't walking on eggshells around someone, and that I do deserve a healthy, vibrant, harmonious relationship with someone. So a few days after the second breakup, and I just want to add in a trigger warning here, if anyone has been affected by the topics of rape or sexual assault, then feel free to leave this podcast episode now. I will be talking about lighter subject material very soon, but I just wanted to add that in before I do go along with this. So, as I was saying, I was at this house party after the second breakup with a close friend of mine. She was a close friend of mine at the time, and I just knew in my gut, this intuitive feeling that something bad was going to happen that night. And I have to advise you all to trust your gut, always trust your gut, because it's never wrong, and it was definitely right in this situation. So that night was one of the most horrific nights of my life. I was drugged and I was sexually assaulted. I felt powerless at that time. I know a lot of people argue in these situations and say, why didn't you fight back? But the truth is, when you go through a trauma such as rape and sexual assault, you don't have the ability to fight back. Your body completely shuts down. And I've experienced this firsthand, guys. I've experienced this. Your body just shuts down naturally. You feel like you're powerless and you can't move. You can't function. And this incident happened in a bathroom. So all through this time, I spent about 3 hours bent over a toilet, unable to lift my head. I was vomiting my guts up. And then after this night, I moved back in with my family. I spent most nights on a mattress on my mum's bedroom floor because it was too traumatic for me to just sleep alone. And I'd grown used to sleeping next to my ex-boyfriend. there was a lot about that relationship that I'm just not going to go into. There was so much pain that year. It was really hard for me to process. It felt like there was too much and I couldn't handle it anymore. So I spent hours and hours on this pro-suicide bit of Reddit. I'm not going to promote them because it is awful that even exists, but I spent a lot of time on there, and eventually that led to me having my dark night of the soul, a very super dark night of the soul where I attempted suicide. And I'm not going to go into detail of this because it is dark subject material, but it was a difficult night. And the following day, after I tried and failed at suicide, I woke up and I did this routine that I'd never done before, but it felt second nature. In a sense, at some point of this year, I did believe that I somehow shifted to a parallel reality where I was the version of myself that did this stuff, did this law of attraction stuff, understood it, manifested, scripted, and did gratitude lists, because that's what I did the following day. I wrote a gratitude list and I meditated on my heart chakra, and that's something I'd never done before. I then started to learn about the law of attraction that exact day. And if I'm being totally honest with you, the law of attraction really scared me. It terrified me. I actually declared myself as healed that very day. And I genuinely did believe that I was healed by the loving light of the universe, but the truth is, the law of attraction just terrified me. The information, that whole sentence of like attracts like, and as far as I was concerned, for myself, I didn't just want to experience more trauma and heartache, because that's what I was on the vibration of. And I felt like I would just experience more of that if I didn't just act as if, script about my new amazing life, and say affirmations. This is now what I call the spiritual BandAid. Using techniques to try and manifest something, try and get something. Saying affirmations instead of actually dealing with how you feel. And this is intentionally suppressing those emotions. The true healing comes from accepting your emotions and feeling them. And only then can we heal and transcend. Only then can we truly embody love. But because of how I was taught about the law, I was afraid to confront my shadow, to admit that I was truly unhappy. There is an amazing book that I'm currently reading on my journey right now, and it's called Letting Go by David Hawkins. This book has vital information on how important it is to release these emotions and how exactly to do that. I will be talking about this in an upcoming podcast because I think it is an amazing book and this is my current journey right now. But for now, I do want to raise awareness on mental health. If you practice the law of attraction and you do have mental health issues, I think it's so important for you to seek help with a mental health professional. Do what I didn't do and what I wish I did. Never be afraid to seek help from mental health professionals. Please don't act as if or just slap a spiritual BandAid over it in the name of affirmations, because it doesn't change anything. It doesn't change your state of being. It won't make you feel better. You'll only just live in a delusion and convince yourself that you're healed, but you're really not. Never be afraid to seek help because you're afraid to manifest lower vibrational experiences. Because the truth is, the universe actually rewards bravery. And if you feel these emotions instead of suppressing them, you'll manifest even quicker. I've experienced this recently. I can manifest so much quicker than I did before because I actually sit with myself. If you feel suicidal, depressed, anxious, unable to cope, then please reach out. There is no shame. It will give you an outlet to express and to catalyst your healing. You can most definitely be spiritual and seek professional help at the same time, because sometimes it's too heavy to carry all on your own, and that's okay. You are a precious soul, and there are so many helpful websites and helplines out there. I personally recommend the Samaritans. I will be making a YouTube video where I share my experience with the Samaritans. And I'll be sharing the emails that I had with them, because at the time, if I'm being completely honest with you, my anxiety was too much to have a phone call with a mental health professional. So I have emails and screenshots of the emails that I'm going to be sharing within that video. I think that video will really help someone in my country, because I'm not too sure if the Samaritans are a global thing, but they do exist in the UK, which is where I'm from. And I always recommend them to people who suffer with their mental health. They are the good guys. They are really good when it comes to helping you feel supported. So that is the end of this podcast episode, not the full podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I'm sending you so much love and healing vibes. And I'll see you in the next episode. See you Monday. Bye.